Hi, Lori. Today we're going to talk about what happens to your body while you're eating. This is for people that are on GLP-1 medication. So, first of all, you ask, what is a GLP-1 medication? So, in most cases, it's an injection. They do make some pills. And what it does is it slows down the digestion and it slows down the stomach emptying. And you get fuller quicker and for a longer period of time. It sends out a little signal to the pancreas to secrete some insulin so that you don't get any sugar spikes. And it sends a signal to your head that says, I'm full. I don't have to eat the whole serving just till I'm full. And that's basically how it works and how it helps us as a tool to lose weight, because it's important to realize this is just a tool. It is possible to overeat the effects and to still eat bad and just smaller amounts and still not cause weight because and still not lose weight because of this. So again, it's not a magic wand. It is a tool in our tool bag to help us lose weight. So, what happens when you start eating? Your hunger signals are reduced, changes in your chewing and your swallowing because everything's just a little bit slower. And all that being said, it alters your digestion pace. Now, there's no change in how the nutrients are absorbed while you're on this medication, but it is a little bit slower, but it does absorb the same way. So it's still very important to have nutrient dense meals. Very important, especially if we're eating smaller amounts. We have to make sure that food is packed with nutrients in order to stay healthy. Now, after you eat, you're going to have nowhere near as many sugar spikes, but that's basically how the medication works. And it was designed this way for diabetics, but they have found that people were losing a lot of weight on this medication. So they decided to do some studies and they have authorized under a different name the same medication for weight loss. Now, over time, you'll probably notice that your eating habits have changed. You'll be getting and eating smaller portions, and you probably eat until you're comfortable, not overly full, but just full. And I know to some of us, that's a weird feeling because I know me, I used to eat till I was like way too full, and I don't do that anymore. I think the medication has helped with that, and that is one of the reasons or one of the effects of the medication. Now, on the minus side to that is some people feel an anxiety about eating food and kind of stay away from that. If you're feeling that, you need to talk to your referring physician or your healthcare provider because they could either have some tips or you may actually have to see somebody about that because we do not want to encourage any type of eating disorders. So remember, smaller portions, maybe a little more frequently. And that's how this medication was designed to be used in our toolbox to help us with our weight loss and our new healthy lifestyle. Now, there's risks of not eating enough. Now, the obvious risk of malnutrition. Another one is fatigue. Your body needs so many calories to function, to keep your heart beating, to keep your lungs moving, to keep your blood circulating, and everything like that. And there's calculators to figure that out. I don't know if they're 100% accurate, but your body needs a certain amount of calories in order to survive. If it doesn't get these calories, it's going to want to hang on to whatever fat or which is an energy source that you have because it needs to function and it is naturally and it naturally tries to find a way to function. So instead of burning fat for energy, it may burn muscle. So if you're not eating enough calories, you can lose muscle. And this is the main reason why you lose muscle because you don't have enough calories. Now, I know everybody needs to be in a calorie deficit. That's how losing weight works. But if you increase your protein and do some strength training, your body's going to say, oh, let's take the fat. It's easier. Under normal circumstances, you're getting enough calories. It doesn't have to hang on to it. And that's how you burn through your fat. So there's ways to help that by eating more protein and doing some strength training and working out. It also puts you at risk of gallstones and kidney stones because your body just isn't functioning correctly and it's not having enough to make your liver work and your bile go through you, and that could create a stone. And I've never had a gallstone, but I've seen plenty of people, because I work in a hospital, have gallstone. It's not pretty. So you do want to try to avoid that. Same thing with kidney stones. Again, ways to stop that: eat a little bit more calories, and definitely hydrate, because hydration is one of the keys. So, what are some tips while you're eating on a GLP-1? Frequent, small meals. That's one of the biggest tips that I could give you. Plus, you'll have a little bit less side effects if you eat this way. Focus on protein in your meal. If you don't think you're going to eat the whole meal that you have, eat your protein first. Don't skip meals, because this, although even though you're not hungry, this could lead to binge eating later. Because I know that I am not a big breakfast eater, but I do have a protein shake, because if I don't, I come home and it's 11, 12 o'clock. I figure I've got to eat something. Let's have my lunch now, and then I'll just have dinner and skip. By the time dinner's over with, I'm like, do I really want something? Do I want? Not really food noise. It's just uh, unsatisfied. My body is obviously looking for the calories that it lost earlier in the day. So that could lead to binge eating, because after dinner, I'm not going to make myself another dinner. You start grabbing at whatever you can, and we all know that could be a problem. So do not skip meal. Take your hydration and have some electrolytes. It really does help balance everything out. And don't have too many electrolytes, because that's not good either. So, everything. And if you've watched any of my videos, you may be saying this sounds all alike. It is. It's all fairly the same thing, but I'm talking to you in different ways, telling you in different ways, hoping that one of them makes a little more sense to you to stick through your lifestyle change. So it would make sense that this would help you stick to your lifestyle change. So high protein meats, fish, eggs, and tofu if you're not into meat. High fiber vegetables, because we need fiber in our nutrient dense meals. Plus, it helps with the constipation. And believe it or not, it also helps with the diarrhea. You get a twofer with that one. You want to have some healthy fats. You don't want to eliminate fats altogether, because your body does need fats. Now, what are some healthy fats? Avocado, some of the seeds, olive oil, nuts. They're all pretty good. And as far as your high fiber vegetables, there's broccoli, spinach, cauliflower, beans, etc. I think we all know them, but they're worth repeating once in a while. Be mindful of what you're eating and try to eat a little bit slower, because the digestion is slower now. These are all little tips to help you with your journey and keep your eating on track. So, eating on a GLP-1 medication, it's not just for losing weight, because again, this is going to be a lifestyle. We have to get used to this. And again, we could have all sorts of food, and we could have these bad foods, but moderation. Understanding all of this is going to help us with our journey and understand when we could have these bad foods that we might crave, because we're human. I do want to have my pizza once in a while. And I know pizza could be a little bit greasy. Am I going to have it right after my shot or right before my shot? Probably not. I might have it in the middle. There might be a little bit of planning, but like I said, there's no food off limits. And that's why I think I could live on this lifestyle for the rest of my life. And that's what I'm planning. Will I have bad days? Of course. Will I have bad weeks? Probably, especially if I'm away and not really controlling so much what I eat. Will I have a bad month? Yeah, it's possible. We all could. So these are just some tips to help you stay in line on your new lifestyle change. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you want me to talk about, comments, please hit that subscribe. It really does help.